Hello and welcome to another episode of Trojan R&R. I'm here with Chris Swanson today. He's the publisher of TrojanSports.com. I'm Michael Lev with the Orange County Register. It's Thursday. We're a little over 48 hours out from the Arizona State game, Chris. We're going to talk a little bit about the game. We talked to Sark earlier today. Good news about Trey Madden on the injury front. Kevon Seymour and Antoine Woods are kind of TBD. We're going to play a what-if game when it comes to this particular contest coming up. One of us is going to take what if USC loses. One of us is going to take what if USC wins. We'll start with you, Chris. What if USC loses this game? What do you think are the consequences, the impact of that?
Well, I think that their high expectations that they had before this season are gone. There's no way they're going to make the college football playoff if they lose two in a row. They probably won't win the Pac-12. I guess it technically still could happen, but starting 0-2 in conference play is something you don't want to do. It's going to put them in a big hole. It's going to put pressure on Steve Sarkisian. His job might be on the line later this year if they keep losing games like this. Depending on how they lose, it might put pressure on Justin Wilcox, more pressure than he has before. I mean, maybe if they lose 10-7, it won't. But Arizona State can score, so it's likely that it will if they lose this game.
Yeah, and if they win, I think it's a totally different outlook. It's amazing what one game can do, but all of a sudden you're 3-1, which I think is probably what most people would have expected looking at the schedule, except maybe the other way around. You beat Stanford and you lose to Arizona State. Then you have a bye week. You can kind of heal up. You got Washington coming in here, which has done pretty well, but USC will be a double-digit favorite in that game. And you look at some of their opponents upcoming. UCLA has had a bunch of significant injuries. Notre Dame has had a bunch of significant injuries. You can sort of see the path to a really successful season if they can get to 3-1, win this game at Arizona State. Easier said than done, obviously, given recent results in Tempe. Okay, each week on Thursday we give kind of a prediction about the game. Not the score, but something that we think is going to happen. Chris, you can go first.
Yeah, I think the front seven is going to look much improved from the Stanford game. I think they're going to kind of change some people's minds on what kind of players they are, their schemes. I expect them to be able to, kind of have their way with Arizona State's offensive line. They recruit bigger, faster, stronger players up front than Arizona State does. That's not necessarily the case with Stanford, where we saw them get beat up front. I think this game will change some people's minds about what USC has on defense.
Well, they're certainly going to be motivated in that regard after what happened last game, and I'm sure they've been hearing all the doubts and kind of the negativity that's been floating around that front seven, so I think that's a really good point. I'm going to go with kind of a familiar guy in these predictions that we give every Thursday, and Adoree Jackson. We really haven't seen Adoree bust loose this season, at least in a play that counts. We had the kickoff return this last game that got called back by a penalty. He still hasn't had the interception that we've all been waiting for. I think he's going to do something in this game, whether it's a pick six, a big turnover, a kick return, maybe score on offense. I think we're kind of due for something with Adoree Jackson. We talked about him kind of all in the offseason, like Heisman candidate, Thorpe candidate, and he's been relatively quiet and had that kind of awkward moment too in this last game where he falls down, which is very un-Adoree-like. So I think this is going to be a big moment for him. Chris, any sort of final thoughts on this game coming up on ASU?
I think it's a toss-up. It's a tough game. It's going to be fun to watch. We'll see what happens. Tempe hasn't been kind to USC in recent years. I don't think they've won there, I want to say, since 2009. I believe was the last time they pulled off a victory in Tempe. So it should be interesting. But, Arizona State might not be the team that they've been recently. They haven't looked that strong, in their first few games. It's going to be a real test. It'll kind of determine the direction of the Pac-12 South going forward. I think it's going to be fun.
And maybe the direction of the USC program as well. Anyway, that's our show for today. Thanks for watching Trojan R&R. You can check out Chris's work at TrojanSports.com. You can check out mine at OCRegister.com. We'll see you next time.